Many men have nothing to smile about. Been broke down, too proud to cry it out. Walk a mile in my boots and you know what I'm about. I took some licks and I took some hits and I found out them bones can actually break sticks. But them words are powerful as shit.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Welcome to Let the Paint Dry. And we are so grateful this morning. So that I'm overflowing with just gratitude and joy. It's just something that's just come to me here in this moment as I just sit down in the studio with an opportunity to share with you. And on Let the Paint Dry, we open up with a song. And so that's what we're going to do. We've been thinking about river and the word river, and I've been working with that lyric and that word for about maybe 2 years and haven't quite mastered a song that feels right, but I have little pieces. Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. Where the river begins, you will find my soul. Where the river begins, you will find my soul. Where the river runs deep, you will find me broken down in a heap, waiting, meditating till the light of day. Where the river runs, where the river runs, you will find me chasing the stream, chasing the light. Where the river is, you will find me. Where the river ends, you will find me. You will find me. You will find me. Welcome to Let the Paint Dry. As I said in the beginning, I am so grateful this afternoon, and I have a lot of joy. And just thinking about this season it's been a season of transition for me, transitioning just deeper into the art practice. And I think a lot of those of you that follow on Facebook and Instagram have seen just a kind of an outpouring of expression. And it's really just been a natural, organic transition deeper into the art practice and deeper into who I am. And that makes me grateful. And that's something that I have been chasing for many years. I've been up here in the Northwest for 14 years, and I've been chasing that kind of like space, being able to have that space of creativity and being able to have that space of art and music and things clicking and resonating with people. And one thing that came so hard on me this morning was just the thought of how many times I've been rejected. And I wanted to share it as a creative because I think it's so important for creatives to share with other creatives and people that are just existing in the world, trying to do good work, trying to do their own business, trying to do maybe something different, something out of the box or their own way, or just trying to move in a positive way and do good work in the world. One of the things that comes up all the time is rejection. And it's been coming to me, just remembering how many times I've been rejected. I have had so many projects that I've worked on, and I've reached out to so many people over the years as I've done this creative work. And as a painter, a musician, a speaker, a coach, a small business owner, all of those things, you're needing to lean on other people and you're needing to collaborate with other people. There's times where you need maybe money and you're got rejected from the bank, or you're trying to borrow from someone who has money and willing to help or said they could help. So many different scenarios come up as we do our work as, I would say, soul entrepreneurs. That's a phrase I'm going to borrow from my friend who penned that phrase, and she says it much better. But I've seen so many times that I have been rejected, and I've learned to lean into that rejection. I've learned to almost look for it, almost invite it, almost celebrate it. I've had moments where I've been, say, I meet a person. I've had this exact thing happen where I met a person. I showed them my artwork. They were a gaming company. They gave me their card. They said, call me. I love your work. Let's do some stuff. And so I did, and nothing. And then it was funny because I ended up moving to the town or city that they lived in, and still reached out to them. Nothing. And so those things happen as creatives and as entrepreneurs and as people trying to do good work. And that has happened to me countless times. I've reached out to people. I've done things, feeling strong about what I'm presenting, and even people telling me, oh, I love your work. I love this. Let's do this. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. And nothing happens. Or just ignored, or they change their mind. And I have learned to lean into that, accept that, embrace that, welcome that, like get very comfortable with that dynamic. And I think it's really a key to doing this work, because what happens is you keep putting yourself out there, is my philosophy. Keep putting yourself out there, keep reaching out, and keep doing your work, and not even worrying about those that don't get it at the time, or don't accept it, or reject it, or don't like it. Don't like it is kind of like that's more of a gift, actually, than someone rejecting you, saying, or ignoring you. If someone doesn't like your work, that lets you know, kind of like, okay, that's not your customer, that's not your tribe, that's not your person, but maybe this person over here is. So that actually is kind of really a gift. But just when your work doesn't land with people and they reject you, they ignore you, this is no breakthrough like idea. Keep on doing it. Keep on going. Keep on pushing your work. Just keep on doing it, and just use that as like fuel to feel your vibration. And when you get to a certain altitude and when you get to a certain vibration, I believe the people that are meant to be in a part of your tribe, a part of your business, a part of your creative circle show up. And it happens very, I think, almost subtle, and it happens very natural. And it's just kind of like you meet someone and it's like, yeah, let's do something. And then you kind of go back and forth, and before you know it, you're working together. And it's a really small little action. It's not this big grand thing. And then it happens, and then you're there. And I've seen that over and over again, along with all the rejection. But if I were to give some numbers, I would say over the course, if you took the 10 years, I don't know if this will make sense. You take the 10 years that I've been really going hard in the paint, no pun intended, hard in the paint with this creative work, I would take 5 of those years, and I probably was rejected, ignored every single day for 5 years. If you could put it in that kind of context, I don't know if that makes any sense, but over and over and over and over again, rejected and ignored and just overlooked. And I learned very quickly that was not going to be a determining factor with how I was going to do my work. So I just wanted to share that. And that was what was on my mind. That was what was on my mind last night and today, and just thinking about that, how if people only knew. I even had people that I went to school with many years ago, and had a position to hire. And this is like someone that I knew. They knew my art. They're an artist as well. They got a position at a big, huge animation company, one of the biggest, and was in a position to hire, but that relationship was like we couldn't talk all of a sudden. And we went to school together in the same class, like we knew each other. But that's a part of life. That's how it goes. But you don't spend any time worrying about that. Don't spend any time, just accept it, understand it, and then detach from it and get back to work. Get back to doing your thing. And it's about that grind. I truly believe this whole thing as creatives and as business owners and people just putting something into the world. It's the things that we talked about before of showing up and then grinding and finding the thing that you enjoy enough that you can grind day in and day out, that you can just grind away, and find joy in the grind. That's been my biggest thing that's kept me going, is finding that thing that I just love to do, whether people are looking or not. And then it's becomes healthy at that point. And we do need other people. That's the weird thing, is the balance of trying to find the people that you want to do work with and that you can, and they want to do work with you. And then also just doing your own work and not worrying about the people that don't want to do work with you per se, or aren't ready at that time, because you never know. Because then what happens is when you really get going, then all of a sudden people loop back around and they want to work with you all of a sudden. And that's a whole nother avenue and bridge that you have to cross, and you want to make sure your heart is in the right place, that you can respond with kindness, even if they didn't respond with open arms when you first approached them. But it's something that I think is a part of this journey, and the more creative people that I talk to and listen to, I see that come up over and over and over again, and I realize that it's just part of our existence, and it's just something that is there. Also, what I was thinking about, I wanted to share today, was the waterfront. So we went down to the waterfront this last Saturday and Sunday, and had a blast and met a lot of people, and really just got a good snapshot of where we are, at least in Tacoma, and and maybe even on a bigger scale of where we are in the world and how we're trying to exist. And this is my kind of as I look back on the 2 days that I spent out selling my art down in Ruston, was people were so happy to be out and so happy to socialize and so happy to get food and at a restaurant at the Ram there, and get food and sit outside and dine with their loved ones. And we were there in the parking lot selling our art. And what we realized is that everybody who goes there is going to have a 30 to 40 minute wait at every restaurant, no matter where you go. So the Ram was really smart and had us come out and sell art, and it gave people something to do while they're waiting for their table. And it was so interesting, the conversations that I had, where I was able to meet people that were from all over. Some people they're here due to the military, and their home is somewhere else, and it was great for them to express that they're not at home, but here they are, and they're trying to have a good time, and they're trying to live their life and do their work. And it was a really, really powerful thing. And to the point where it just made so much sense after I got there. And it's been a while since I've been out. I've been at home painting. So it was good for me. And seeing people come in off of the water, they were out there on their boat, and they'd dock up and they'd walk onto the water and just kind of check out what we were doing. And that was a very powerful thing, to hear people's stories. And it was amazing to me to sit with people that I had, strangers, met them right there, and they're expressing how they're telling me their life story and how they met their wife or their husband and their kids. And art was like a tool to just open up conversation. And we made some wonderful sales. It was beautiful. So we're going to do it again. We're going to be back down there this coming weekend. And if we can swing it the next weekend, we'll be back there again. So we're going to be out there. And I'm probably going to not bring as many originals because a lot of the originals are on my website and people are buying those. And just the transportation from my house to the waterfront, out of the house, it heightens the risk of them being damaged. So I don't want to have, and then if somebody buys it off the website, then it's damaged. So I'm not going to bring out as many originals, but I'm having a bunch of prints, new prints, and then I'll have some originals that that are a little bit made on material that's a little bit more durable, and I'll be creating some pieces live there. So I'm going to do that and have those available, and then we'll have a ton of prints. We have like probably a couple hundred prints available. So I don't know if that's too much. I feel overwhelmed with just having and keeping track of it, but people seem to really enjoy it. But I am so thrilled for this season and this season of being able to reach out and being able to be present and show up and give this art and make these human connections. And I find it so interesting that in this time of pandemic and COVID and so many things that are so unpredictable, and there's so many rumors going around, and then there's so many certain things that are very real that we're having to deal with, that I'm seeing this spirit like a human spirit, a human resilience in people to find a way to exist, to pivot, to continue living their best life. And that I find that very interesting, and I'm challenged by it as an artist and entrepreneur to keep going. Because technically, this is if I think if we looked at it on one standpoint, this would be not the time to do a business, not the time to start something, but we went ahead and did it. We looked the pandemic and all of the nastiness in the world straight in the face and said, okay, here's our website, here's our art, here's our podcast, here's our videos, our YouTube channels, here's our series, and we're going to show up and we're going to exist in the middle of this. And I'm wondering what that will look like when this is all said and done. I wonder what that'll look like a year from now. I wonder what that'll look like 20 years from now. And I don't know. And I don't spend too much time with that because I'm busy doing this work. And I feel it's so important. It's so important to keep living and breathing and bringing the best side of our humanity to the table every day. So I'm really inspired to not only show up, but to show up with the best side of myself. And as I look at the things that are happening in the world, the negative, nasty things, the things that are being going viral of people doing physical violence to other people around the abuse of Black bodies, or just straight up visceral racism, and seeing all of that, I believe that the only way through this is to lean into the best side of our humanity. And that is not my knee-jerk reaction in certain circumstances, but I'm realizing how vital it is, because I'm seeing more and more how connected we are, how similar we are. As trite as that may sound, it's the truth. As I meet with strangers and seeing people come to the tent and say, oh my goodness, my wife paints. I don't paint, but I love what she does. And then she'll come up and she'll tell me her whole life story around art. And you can see the joy on people's face, and you can see that it was needed. It was needed for them to be heard, to be seen, and I needed to be seen and heard. And I needed that connection to come around art. And this is just one example, but I'm seeing how important this is, how important this is to our mental wellness, our health as a creative, as an artist. And I'm super excited about more of that and creating scenarios like that. So that's just what has been simmering on on the top of my heart, if you will, on my mind and on my body, is just this moving in the world with the best side of my humanity, with kindness, compassion, with thoughtfulness, mindfulness, with patience. And that's something I do not have. Many cases, I had to work on it. I am not naturally a patient person. I get so impatient. And what's funny is I don't show it, but I have had to really work on being patient, and that right there is something that just really examining why am I not patient in a certain circumstance. It's just certain things trigger me, and I get where I'm not patient. I think we all have those things. And then in certain circumstances, I'm extremely patient, but examining that and not letting those moments where I'm not a patient person or if I'm triggered, but pausing for just a second and saying, okay, how am I going to lean into the best side of my humanity? How am I going to lean into kindness and compassion and sit with it until it becomes real in my spirit and real in my body and real in my practice and my existence? And I truly believe that mindset is going to be such a force of good, and it's going to help us economically, socially, mentally, as a collective. Because if we have the mindset of kindness and thinking of others, these basic principles of getting along with our fellow human and our fellow citizen, if we employ these, then things happen like when you're doing good in your business and you got a little extra and you can create a nonprofit that helps somebody, you can give money, you can give time because you're doing a little bit better maybe during this season. And then that person who really needs you to show up for them receives that powerful gift that you've given them, and then they're resonating on a level, and then when they're doing better, they give to the next person. And maybe as fairy tale or far-fetched as that sounds, that's how this happens and that's how this works, and it's real. And I can tell you story upon story of incidents and moments like that where that happens. And I am very motivated to promote this idea in the world, and not a fake positive energy of we're just all happy. No, there's real shit happening. There's real pain. People are going through some situations that are so dark, and that's why we have to be the light, right? And show up. Now is the time. Today, yesterday, tomorrow, tonight, right? So that is a part of my joy and gratitude practice and what motivates it, I think, in the deeper narrative and the deeper nuanced thought behind what is pushing me forward. So we're going to keep showing up, and we're so grateful that we're showing up in Tacoma. There's doors that have opened, and so we're here. And if you want to be a part of it, reach out to me. Reach out to those that are here at BD Local. They're doing great work here. And there's a whole community of people that are doing really special work and that are showing up with their energy and all of their heart to move art forward, to move humans forward, to move us forward. And it really does start on this small level. It starts on this local level. And then it grows to a city, bigger than the city and the region. But this is where it starts at. And I believe it. I know it's true. And I'm going to be all about that. So if you want to be a part of that and you're feeling motivated to do something more, or show up and reach out, and we'll be happy to either collaborate or to guide you to the people that are doing work that is aligned with you, and we'll be happy to help that move on. And I think that's all a part of this. If we can go meta with Let the Paint Dry, is this process of looking at things in a holistic way. There's a process to it. There's a step. It's not an instant thing. the internet is instant and our text messages are instant. And when they're not, we get like frustrated and we're immersed in this real time instant world. But my practice as Let the Paint Dry is sitting in front of a canvas with real materials and working with your hands and starting to paint. And so many times I don't think about what I'm going to paint. I just start drawing lines and I let the lines and the colors, whatever I pick, I just grab a pigment, open it up, put it on the canvas sometimes. Sometimes I use a palette and I start painting. And then I see what it tells me. What does it look like? If it looks like a bird, we're painting a bird. If it looks like a bear, we're painting a bear. If it looks like a portrait, we're painting of a face, we're doing a face. And then we work with that and we continue to listen to the paint and we watch the paint dry. And then we take it outside and we look at it in natural light. And then we take it inside and look at it in like inside artificial light. And then we let it dry overnight and then we reapproach it. And certain paintings sit for a day. Certain paintings are done the moment that we stop that session. Certain paintings may take 2 or 3 years and they just hang around in the studio and we just keep working on them. And sometimes they sit and they're not touched. And sometimes I forget that they exist. And then I pull them back out and I start working on them. I get inspired. And that's, to me, that process that I go through is how this human experience is. It's not instant. It's relationships are built. People have needs during a certain time in their life. You may be able to meet them. Seeds may be planted in a moment, and then it could be 3 or 4 years. It could be next year. It could be 10 years that you reunite and that you collaborate on something. It's an organic process. And I'm inspired to be a part of that and encourage that and name it. I'm inspired to name this process that I call Let the Paint Dry, which is really a human experience and existence and a way of living. And it is improv sometimes. A lot of the times it's improv. We're making it up as we go. We're discovering it. We're listening. We're listening to the heartbeats around us. We're listening to people. We're listening to their spirits. We're listening to what they're saying they need. And we're getting our hearts in a place, and our minds and our bodies in a place to give, to show up. And then there's times where we have to receive. But that is a big part of what I wanted to share today. And we dive into these things organically and see what comes up. So I just wanted to share that with you, and also let you know, if you want to follow me on Instagram at Travis Johnson Studios. My website is travisjohnsonart.squarespace.com. And also check out Guardian Roofing. They're our sponsor, one of our sponsors, wonderful sponsors. Check them out. And we're going to be getting more sponsors as well, people getting involved in this podcast of Let the Paint Dry. So I'm thinking let's do a song to close out with. See what comes up here. Whoa, yeah, boom, boom, but yeah, whoa, do, do, yeah, Betty's in the kitchen, all right. Betty's in the kitchen, all right. Betty's in the kitchen, all right. Betty's in the kitchen, let it ride. Tommy's in the kitchen, yeah, right. Tommy's in the kitchen, let it ride. Tommy's in the kitchen, let it ride. Betty's in the kitchen, let it ride. Betty got some batter but her batter was bitter. So Betty got some butter to make her batter better. Oh, Betty's in the kitchen, let it ride. 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 Tommy's 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 in the kitchen, let it ride. Let it ride. Go do good work. Walk in love. Let the paint dry.